Okay, great. So we start with today's class, and as I said, what we've been doing now in the last two classes was we discussed about distribution. We started with distribution, we finished with product, we finished with pricing, and distribution, we discussed the definition of distribution. We just understood how important distribution is, looked at the discrepancies it helps us to cover, the marketing flows it results into. We found payment flow is a unique flow because it's in the reverse direction. And finally, we saw the implementation with the example of a car and a soap. And I just showed you a video about what happens in a warehouse. And I showed you that video because today we are discussing logistics. Logistics, which is such an important part of distribution. And what is logistics? Logistics is the actual transportation of the goods and services from the place of manufacture to the place of consumption. Logistics management is a process that ensures the delivery of the right product at the right place at the right time in right quantities. And therefore, logistic consists of warehousing, inventory, and transportation. Three extremely important things. I just showed you warehousing. And you just saw that how huge the warehouses can be, and how important technology has become in the distribution management. We get what we want sitting at our home, and we do not know what is happening in the background. It's all happening because of excellent use of technology. And therefore, the whole process of how it moves, how it is sorted, and how it is delivered was captured in that video. Warehousing is such an important part of logistics management. Warehousing is, in normal language, a go down. And when I'm talking about warehousing, we need warehousing because it helps us to store inventory. Inventory, which ensures that we are able to give the goods to the customers at the time he or she needs. Warehousing is the point which helps us to bring together the supplies. Now, what do I mean by that? So in that warehouse, goods may be manufactured in Chennai, Trivandrum, Ludhiana, Chandigarh, Siliguri. All the goods from different places, they come to that warehouse. So I may have ordered, sitting in Pune, I may have ordered something which is manufactured in Jammu. I may have ordered something which is manufactured most probably in Vishakhapatnam, Vizag. Now, what happens? The warehouse in Mumbai or Pune or wherever it is located, the goods come. That good from Jammu comes there. That product that I want from Vizag comes there. Warehousing is the point to bring together those supplies. Once it arrives over there, they will do the assortment and allocation. And sitting at home, I can get the goods which I have ordered from different parts of the country or the world. Obviously, it helps in greater economies of scale, and it is for contingency protection. If you look at warehousing, what happens in a warehouse? When you saw the video, three things happened. One, storage. Secondly, movement. And third, sharing of information. Now, let me explain this with this little chart, graph, whatever, or flow that you can see. And all three are so important. So when the goods arrive at the warehouse, I mean, there's a particular truck which may have got the goods, you unload that vehicle, you inspect it for damage, and you compare with the original purchase order. The moment that trucks arrive at the warehouse, information sharing has started. If the goods are less than what was ordered, or if the goods are in damaged condition, immediately the manufacturer comes to know, he is informed. And therefore, you know that maybe from the factory the goods were not sent properly, or maybe the transporter did something, whatever. But information sharing has started. If someone is writing in the chat box, I can't see, just unmute yourself and speak. Yeah, so the information sharing has started. Once the goods enter the warehouse, you saw, I mean, they're not just put haphazardly. Acha, ise yahan rakh do, use wahan rakh do. No, that's not how things work. You need to store, the movement of the goods, first of all, happens. And you heard a very important sentence. I don't know if you noticed it. It's the shortest distance. Why? Because every distance, every movement of the good causes is equivalent to time and effort, and time and effort is money. And therefore, we have to ensure that the goods are stored in such a way that they travel shortest distance. Now, what do I mean by that? So here is a product which you know is much in demand. It's a very, very fast moving product. Almost every customer, or a lot of customers order for it, and you know that almost every day the delivery of this product is happening. What do? You place it near the exit. And what is the shortest distance between 2 points? Go back to the maths or geometry that you learned in class 2 when your teacher told you, but you didn't listen. The shortest distance between 2 points is a line. There are a billion ways of joining 2 points, but the shortest distance between 2 points is always a line. And therefore, the goods, so this is what I mean by the movement. You have to ensure that it's the shortest movement. Similarly, storage, if the goods are something which needs special protection or something which can harm, then you need to store them separately. We'll come to that. So the moment the goods enter the warehouse, you have to identify their storage location in a manner that they are safe, and also they move the shortest distance. Right? Once that is done, then you see whether it has to be shipped or will it stay in the warehouse for some time. So order picking and the shipping preparation happens as per the orders that you have received. And finally, they are sent through a carrier, and again, the information, all this while information is being shared with the manufacturer or the other channel members or the retailer also, that which goods are moving, which goods are not moving, which goods are on the road, which goods are short in supply. It's only, so this cannot happen without the use of technology and information sharing, because unless and until we share information with all our stakeholders, the business cannot function profitably. I mean, so when I say stakeholders, even I as a consumer, when I'm ordering on some online app, you can't, sometimes you see out of stock, or you know that this is there or this is not there. What is that? Information sharing. So warehouse is the place which helps us in storage, movement, and information sharing. And when I'm talking about logistics management, to help you give a perspective of how important logistics is, let me go to a website and let me just show you India's logistics sector to reach US $215 billion by 2020. I don't know whether we look at this. It says, as per the economic survey, the country's logistic industry, which is worth around USD 160 billion, is likely to touch USD 215 billion in the next 2 years. This is like huge. And when we are talking about warehousing, let me show you another company. So this is Central Warehousing Corporation. It's a Government of India company. And look at this. It says, as a premier warehousing agency, CWC is operating 415 warehouses with a total storage capacity of 101.44 lakh metric tons. When you further look at the services they provide, you see that they provide air cargo operations, container train operations, integrated check post terminal. I mean, that's the importance of warehousing. Because this is the place, warehouse is the place where you need it to store the goods. You can't just send it from the manufacturer directly to the consumer. We wish we could, but this is the place which helps in that allocation and assortment. The discrepancy that we spoke about, this is bridged in the warehouse. While this is the importance of warehousing, the next thing, obviously, what do we store in a warehouse is the inventory. And therefore, again, so what you saw, all the products over there were the inventory. Why do we need inventory? We need inventory. Now, I picked this up from a book and it's talking about acquisition, production, transportation, and let me explain this to you. So it's also talking right from the raw material. What do you mean by acquisition? So you must have seen that, sometimes when you buy something for 1 kg, it has a certain price, but when you buy 10 kgs of the same amount, you find that you get a little discount. Same happens for the raw material also. So sometimes manufacturers, they buy a little more raw material because they are getting a better price. But the moment they buy more, it results in inventory. Production. Now, what do I mean by production? I mean, it's not like that when a customer orders a car that they start manufacturing a car. No, I mean, they need to have some inventory, and also production needs to happen every day. You can't close the factory for 3 days and work for 2 days. There is a certain minimum amount of work that needs to be done in the factories every day. The moment that is done, we have inventory. Finally, transportation. What do I mean by transportation? Full truckload and half truckload is always more economical than an empty truck or a truck which is not full truck or half truck. That results in inventory. Yes, we need inventory for safety stocks, uncertainty stocks, for perishable supply and seasonal demand. A very important concept which comes in inventory is something called EOQ, or economic order quantity. At your stage, we need not understand the formula, and you need not understand how to derive that formula, which we do if you take sales and distribution in the 5th semester, but you need to understand EOQ. Please understand, inventory is a very tricky subject. If you have more, then your money is stuck. If you have less, then you are losing customer. And a very important line that we use for inventory is just enough. And that's where all the problem arises, because what is just enough? So we have a term called EOQ, or economic order quantity, which says that you should order only economic order quantity. Let me explain this to you with the help of a graph. So you see two things. You see two costs. One is the ordering cost and one is the holding cost. Now, what is the ordering cost? It's very simple. Every time when you order, so you pick up your phone or you use your internet and you order, you ordered 5 pastries or whatever you ordered. So what you incurred a cost, right? That phone was not free. The internet that you're using is not free. Or maybe you walked down to the store and you ordered. So when you are walking down to the store, your time and effort is being used. Or maybe you went in your car, you are spending petrol. I'm just trying to help you understand. So what are you doing? There is an ordering cost. There is also a holding cost. So you get that product back home and you store it. It's not just you buy something and you immediately consume it. So maybe you brought some clothes, you store them, you put them in your almirah. There's a storage, there's a whole, that almirah costed you something, or you got those pastries, you put it in a fridge. That fridge, that space that is being occupied, you're using that space, it costs you. Put it on a bigger scale, and when you put it on a bigger scale, that fridge is your warehouse most probably, or your storage thing, and you're ordering. You're not just ordering small orders, you're big orders. But the whole point is that there is a particular point where the total cost is minimum. When you see both holding cost and ordering cost, there's a point where the total cost is minimum. And we say this is the quantity that you should order. Obviously, as I said, this depends on the formula. You need to know a lot of things. You need to know the cost. You need to know the ordering cost and so on and so forth. But economic order quantity is that quantity which helps us to have inventory, which is just enough. While this is for warehousing and this is for inventory, the third thing is transportation. And when I talk about transportation, let me again give you a perspective of our country. When I look at transportation, I just found these websites with interesting information. I hope this is visible. So look at this. It says, Indian Railways is among the world's largest railway network, and its route length network is spread over so many kilometers. It says it takes 23 million travelers and 3 million metric tons of freight daily from 7,349 stations. Look at our road network. Let me show you another thing. When you see the road network, India has the second largest road network in the world, spanning a total of 5.89 million kilometers, and it transports 64.5% of all goods in the country and 90% of India's total passenger traffic. Why am I talking about this? Because the third thing is transportation. I mean, how does it reach the warehouse? Transportation. And when we are talking about transportation, there are various transportations in India. There is roadways, there's railways, there's airways, there is waterways. And there is intermodal, which means when you use a combination, and of course pipelines. If you want to transport oil, I mean, we are talking about natural gas, etc. We are talking about pipelines. So there's so many transportations that we have. Railways, as I just showed you, we have one of the best network of railways in the country. Our railways just go, I mean, these are just some amazing facts about our country. So, and if you want to bulk transport to happen, yes, you can use the railways. Railways has its plus and minus. The negative about railways is that there's a fixed timing. So if a train goes at 11 a.m., it will go at 11 a.m. Just because you want to go at 8 a.m., it will not go at 8 a.m. And also the railways will deliver the goods at a particular station. And from the station, you again need to ensure that it reaches the the concerned place. However, that is bridged by the roadways. We have the second best, we are number 2 in terms of the roadway length in the world. So roadways, if you want the truck to leave at 8 a.m., it will leave at 8 a.m. It will deliver the goods at the place. And therefore, in the recent years, roadways has become extremely important. In fact, it's carrying too much load. We are somewhere overburdening it. The third thing, waterways, and that's a sad part. India is a country which is blessed with natural resources. I mean, we are a country which has so many rivers, and yet it's very unfortunate that we are not really using waterways for our domestic transportation. If we can use it, then the load on the railways and the railways would substantially reduce. However, when we are talking about waterways in terms of export, yes, it is used heavily and it is much cheaper also. Finally, airways. Airways is pretty costly, and we don't usually use it unless and until we are sending samples or it is some very precious commodity. So if I am importing bullion, obviously it's not coming by railways or waterways, it is coming by airways. And so airways has its, again, plus and minus, short time, though very expensive. And as I said, in reality, what happens is we use a combination. So we maybe, so for example, I want to transport something from Delhi to US. There's a which has to travel to US. So obviously from Delhi to Mumbai, it will most probably come by railways or roadways. And then from Mumbai, it will go to US through waterways. So usually we use a combination depending on where the product has to go, right? So much for logistics management, warehousing, inventory, transportation. Whatever gaps we spoke about, whatever discrepancies we spoke about, they are bridged because we have excellent logistics management. At this point, maybe let me end the lecture, come back to you, and we will open the house for discussion.